My mom told me to pay off my stepbrother's $80,000 debt after he abused me for years. She texted, "He's the man of the family. He deserves success. You owe him everything." This is the same man who used to lock me in the shed, take pictures of me while I slept, and once told me, "No one will ever believe you." I hadn't spoken to my mom in 11 years until she showed up at my door screaming, "We raised you. You owe us your life." My stepbrother cracked the window trying to break in. I hid, shaking. When my brother arrived, he dragged them off the porch and yelled, "You're lucky I don't press charges today. Now we filed for a restraining order. I'm pressing charges." But last night, she messaged again, "You're tearing the family apart. Please don't do this. We're desperate." I, 29F, have an older stepbrother, 42M, who has made my life a living hell since my mom married his dad when I was 4. I don't even know where to begin. This whole thing feels like it's ripped straight out of a bad movie. But unfortunately, it's my real life. I'm not looking for sympathy. I have a great life now. But after what just happened last week, I'm still shaking, and I need to get it off my chest. Let's rewind. When I was 4, my mom remarried. My dad had died when I was 1, and we'd moved back to Colombia afterward. My mom is a US citizen. Her new husband was also a widower and had a son from his previous marriage, Chris, who was 17 at the time. So yeah, while I was playing with Legos and struggling to tie my shoes, my new brother was nearly old enough to vote. After the wedding, we moved back to the US because of my mom's citizenship. That's how my stepdad and Chris got their residency. Through her. I guess that's a detail she conveniently forgets when she tells people how ungrateful I am. From the beginning, Chris hated me. I don't know why. Maybe it was jealousy. Maybe he just liked having someone smaller and weaker to pick on. All I know is he went out of his way to make my life miserable. Chris wasn't your average moody teenager. He was cruel. If he was supposed to watch me after school, he'd lock me in the guest bathroom for hours or leave me outside in the backyard shed with nothing but my backpack and whatever homework I had. Sometimes I wouldn't get dinner unless I made it myself. He'd steal my lunch if he was the one driving me to school, eat it in front of me, and then laugh when I cried. I told my mom, more than once, and she always said the same thing. "He's just teasing. You need to stop being so sensitive." It got worse. I had a cat that I'd had since I was really young. She's still alive somehow, 22 years old and grumpy as hell, just like me. Chris once tried to run her over in the driveway. More than once. Every time I told my mom, it was brushed aside. Chris could do no wrong. In her eyes, he was her son. I was just a girl. That's how she phrased it once when she didn't know I was listening. When I hit puberty, things shifted, and not in a normal siblings fight way. He found out that the bathroom doors had those unlockable safety knobs. You could open them from the outside with a long pin or stick. He started walking in on me while I was showering. At first, I thought it was an accident. Then it happened again and again. I started blocking the door with a chair from the inside, and he'd laugh at me through the crack in the door. My underwear started disappearing. Just mine. Once I woke up in the middle of the night and he was standing at the foot of my bed. I froze. I pretended to still be asleep. Then I heard him unzip his pants. I was 14. He was 27. I screamed. He ran. My mom and stepdad came running. I told them what happened, sobbing, shaking. My mom looked me straight in the face and asked me, "Well, what were you wearing?" "Sweatpants. A t-shirt. That's what I was wearing." Guess who got grounded for making things up? Not Chris. When I was 16, something happened that I'm still not ready to talk about. I'm working on it with my therapist, but it was the last straw. I was done. I called my half-brother Sam, 48 million, my dad's son from his first marriage. I barely knew him, but I was desperate. I told him everything. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe a sorry or "that sucks." But instead, he told me, "Pack your things. I'm coming to get you." He and his wife Sandy showed up 2 days later. My mom didn't even fight it. She told Sam he could have me, as long as he didn't ask her for child support. And that was it. That's how I left. Sam and Sandy became my legal guardians. They took me in, enrolled me in school, fed me, protected me. They even let me bring my cat and our old family dog because I didn't trust leaving any living creature in that house. They were the first real parents I ever had. With help from Sam, Sandy, and my paternal relatives, I finished high school, went to college, got my bachelor's, and eventually my master's, debt-free. And now I work as a nurse practitioner. I still live with Sam and Sandy and their kids. I pay rent, even though they've never asked. It's the least I can do. I haven't heard from my mother since I was 18, until last week. I got a text out of nowhere. "Hi, Mija. I've been thinking about you lately. How are you?" My stomach dropped. I should have ignored it. I really should have, but I replied. Told her I was doing fine. Working as a nurse, still living with Sam's family. She asked what kind of nurse, what kind of hours, whether I had student loans, how much money I made. I gave vague answers. I felt uneasy the whole time. Then she dropped the real reason she reached out. Chris is drowning in student debt. Apparently, he spent years bouncing around from school to school and never finished anything. Now he sells used cars for my stepdad, but most of his paycheck goes to loan payments. And she said, verbatim, "You should help him. You're successful now. And he's your brother. He's the man of the family and deserves a chance. I didn't even reply. I just turned off my phone. When I got home, Sam noticed something was wrong. I told him everything, showed him the texts. I have never seen that man so furious. He told me to block her, block Chris, block everyone. And I did. But the story doesn't end there. The next day, when I was home alone, they came to the house. Chris, my mother, on my doorstep. Edit. Thank you all for the kind messages and support. I've been crying reading some of your comments, not gonna lie. I'll post the next part later today. It only gets more surreal from here. Update. First off, I didn't expect that post to get so much attention. Thank you for the kind messages, for sharing your own stories, for the validation. I cried reading some of your replies, not out of sadness, but because I don't think I ever realized how much I needed to hear. You didn't deserve that. None of it was your fault. Anyway, here's what happened next. The day after I showed Sam the messages from my mom, I took his advice and blocked her number, Chris, and my stepdad. I figured that was the end of it. I had the next couple days off work. I worked 12s on a hospital rotation, so I thought I'd just spend the day decompressing. Maybe binge a dumb Netflix show, clean my car, whatever. Sam and Sandy were at work, the kids were at school. I was alone. It was a little after 10 a.m. when the doorbell rang. I assumed it was a package, Amazon or something, so I looked through the peephole, and my heart just dropped. Standing on the porch were my mother and Chris. I don't know how long I stood there. My hands were shaking. I felt cold. I hadn't seen either of them in over a decade. They looked older. My mom had let her hair go gray, and Chris had this bloated, angry-looking face, like someone who'd smoked and drank for 20 years and blamed the world for it. He was wearing a dirty polo shirt and jeans that didn't fit right, and they were smiling, like this was a social call. I backed away from the door and called Sam immediately. I was whispering into the phone like they could hear me through the walls. He picked up on the first ring. "They're here," I whispered. "At the house." He went dead silent. Then, "Do not open the door. I'm coming now." The second I hung up, my mom started banging on the door. At first, it was the classic fake nice voice. "Mija, open the door, baby. We just want to talk." I stayed completely silent. I didn't move. That's when Chris chimed in. His voice was muffled through the door, but I caught enough. "You owe us. You wouldn't even have a life if we hadn't raised your ungrateful ass." Then my mom again. "You think you're too good for us now, huh? You think you're better than your own mother?" She was yelling, screaming, full volume now. I kept backing away from the door, grabbed a kitchen knife, not to use, just because I felt like I needed something. I saw him through the window in the dining room, trying every window latch one by one. Thankfully, we've got safety bars on the ground floor. Sam had them installed after someone tried to break into a neighbor's house last year. Still, it was terrifying. He jiggled the doorknob on the garage. He kicked at the gate to the backyard. I locked everything, double-checked, then triple-checked. Then I heard it. Crack. I ran to the living room and saw Chris had punched the side window so hard he cracked the glass. Not shattered, but cracked it from the corner down. And then, he looked right at me. He yelled something so vile, I'm not even going to write it here. Let's just say it started with "you little bitch," and ended with him screaming that they should have left me in the gutter when I was a baby. I was crouched behind the couch when I heard tires screech. Sam's car. Thank God. I've never seen my brother move so fast. He was out of the car and on the porch in seconds, screaming at them to get the hell off his property. He didn't even wait for them to respond. He dragged Chris away from the window and shoved him back toward the sidewalk. They tried to talk over him, tried to guilt him too, but Sam wasn't having it. He got in their faces, like right in their faces, and said something I couldn't hear. Whatever it was, my mom went pale. Chris looked stunned. They both backed away slowly, then got in their beat-up car and sped off like they were fleeing a crime scene. Sam came in and found me behind the couch, still holding the knife like a total idiot. I was shaking. I don't think I've cried that hard in years. He dropped down beside me, pulled me into a hug, and just kept saying, "I'm so sorry. I should have done more back then. I should have fought harder." Sandy came home 10 minutes later. I've never seen her so angry. Not even when Sam backed into her car with the snowblower attached. She walked in, saw the cracked window, saw my face, and said, "That's it. We're calling a lawyer." Later that night, Sam told me what he said to them on the sidewalk. He told Chris that if he ever showed up again, he would press charges, that he would go to the police about what happened when I was 16. And the kicker? Apparently, my stepdad is willing to testify against Chris. Sam found out after calling him a few months ago when he heard Chris had done something to another relative. They had a falling out, and the stepdad's done protecting him. That shut Chris right up. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I'm pressing charges. Short answer, I'm working on it. Sam's been amazing and is helping me get in touch with a lawyer. I'll explain more in the next post. Thank you again. Really, I don't feel alone for the first time in a long time. Update 2. Hey everyone, back again with another update. I wasn't planning to write again so soon, but things have escalated. And honestly, I don't even know how to describe the level of petty, manipulative insanity I've been dealing with over the past few days. If you haven't read the original post or first update, here's the short version. My abusive stepbrother, Chris, 42M, and my narcissistic mother, 59F, showed up at my house after I blocked them for trying to guilt me into paying off Chris's mountain of student debt. They tried to intimidate me. My brother Sam, 48M, showed up like an avenging angel and scared them off. End scene. Except that wasn't the end. It started just a few hours after the Porch incident. I began getting texts from unknown numbers, mostly long, guilt-trippy messages about forgiveness, family unity, and, my personal favorite, repaying the woman who gave you life. Apparently, my mom has been telling people that I'm refusing to support her in her old age and abandoning family out of spite. She's got a whole narrative going now that I'm some cold-hearted brat with a six-figure salary who can't be bothered to help her struggling son. She's also claiming I owe her all the money she never got from my father in child support. I laughed out loud when I read that one. My father died when I was a baby, and she explicitly told Sam when I moved out that she didn't want a cent of support if it meant I was out of her life. Now suddenly, it's unpaid debt? First, it was burner numbers. Then it was Facebook calls. Then it was people I didn't even know. Strangers with profile pictures that looked vaguely familiar, all messaging me saying things like, "I heard what you did to your mother. Shame on you. You're a nurse, right? You have plenty. Family comes first. Chris needs help. Why are you punishing him for being in debt?" One person even messaged Sandy. Sandy. She responded with a 3-word reply. "Try me again." They didn't. Remember how I said I don't really know my mom's side of the family? Yeah, I now know why. Apparently, she's got a little group chat going with her cousins and some woman who claims to be my aunt. First I've heard of her. They've all taken up this weird crusade where they've decided I'm selfish for not helping my big brother and ungrateful for turning my back on the woman who sacrificed everything for me. I want to be really clear here. My mother didn't sacrifice a damn thing for me. Sam and Sandy did. My father's family did. The only thing my mother did was allow abuse to happen under her roof and then call me a liar when I begged for help. One of the messages literally said, "Chris protected you growing up. You owe him. You're a nurse now because of your mom's strength." I honestly felt nauseous reading that. This one deserves its own section. One of these cousins, or whoever they are, messaged me a photo of me and Chris from when I was maybe 5 or 6. I don't remember the moment at all, but we're sitting on the porch. I look terrified. He's got his arm around me in this fake stiff pose. You can tell it was staged. The caption was, "See, you were happy once. Why are you holding on to grudges?" That photo broke something in me. I stared at it for a full minute and started shaking. I had blocked out so much from those years that even seeing an image from that time triggered this weird, paralyzing wave of nausea and anxiety. I took the rest of the day off. Sam made me tea. Sandy sat with me while I cried. So yeah, we're done playing nice. Sam contacted a lawyer, friend of a friend, who deals with harassment, family law, and restraining orders. We had an initial consult. Free, thank God, and we're moving forward with 2 things. 1. Filing for a restraining order against my mother and Chris. 2. Preparing to press charges for what Chris did to me when I was a teenager. Now here's the wild part. Remember how I said my stepdad was willing to testify against his own son? He meant it. Apparently, years after I left, Chris did something to one of his relatives. I don't know the full details, and I wouldn't post them even if I did, but it was bad enough that they cut ties. My stepdad told Sam that if we move forward legally, he'll go on record. He says he regrets everything. Regrets not protecting me, regrets covering for Chris. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive him, but I appreciate it, genuinely. Here's the thing no one talks about. It doesn't matter how well-adjusted you are now, or how good your support system is. When someone from your past shows up and tries to drag you back into the trauma you spent years clawing your way out of, it hits hard. I've been having nightmares again, locking the door 4 times before bed, carrying my pepper spray to the mailbox. It's like I'm 16 again, and my mom is yelling that I'm a liar while Chris laughs in the next room. But I'm not that girl anymore. I have a job, a life, people who love me, a lawyer, and I'm not going to let her take anything else from me. We're finalizing paperwork this week. Sam's covering the legal fees until I can reimburse him. He refuses to let me pay up front. I'm also taking a bit of extra time off work. My boss was incredibly understanding when I explained what was going on. She offered to connect me with an HR counselor if I wanted one. I didn't even know that was a thing. I've deleted all social media except Reddit for now, just to stay under the radar. The family harassment has slowed since I blocked the new numbers, but I'm staying alert. Edit. A few people have asked if I ever tried going no contact before all this. Yes, for 11 years. And this is what happened the moment I let her back in. If you're on the fence about going no contact with a toxic parent, let this be your sign. Don't let guilt ruin your peace. Update 3. Hi again. I honestly thought I'd be done posting for a while, but things have moved quickly. And not in the way I expected. I said last time that we were moving forward with legal steps. That's happening. The lawyer is fully involved now, We've officially filed for a restraining order against both my mother and Chris. But the bigger development is that we're also preparing to press charges for what Chris did to me when I was 16. And, well, my stepdad dropped a bombshell. Sam's been handling most of the back and forth with the lawyer, but I had to be part of one call last Friday to go over some of the incidents and establish a timeline. It was hard. Talking about that time in my life still makes my stomach twist. After the call, Sam got a message from my stepdad. I'll call him Rick. He wanted to talk, not with Sam, with me. I didn't know how to feel about it. Rick was never violent, never touched me. But he also stood there and did nothing while his son tormented me for years. He knew. There's no way he didn't know. Still, part of me needed closure, so I agreed. Sam was in the room during the call and recorded it with Rick's permission, at our lawyer's request before anyone comes for me about legality. Rick's voice was shaky the second he got on the call. He didn't try to play the I didn't know card. He admitted he'd known things were off for years. He remembered me flinching when Chris was near, remembered the way I stopped talking, started locking my door, wouldn't eat unless I was alone. He said, and I quote, "I told myself I didn't see anything, because admitting it meant I had to do something, and I was a coward." Then he told us something we didn't know. Chris had done this before, not just to me, to another family member on his side, a cousin. Years before my mom even married Rick, they had swept it under the rug, handled it internally. No police, just a family discussion and promises it would never happen again. Then I came along. Rick said that after I left, things fell apart in the house. Chris spiraled. My mom got more bitter. Chris tried to hurt someone else, a teenage niece if I understood correctly. That time, Rick didn't protect him. He kicked him out, went low contact, and basically gave up trying to fix him. I don't know how much of that was true or convenient guilt now that the walls are closing in, but it hit me hard. After the call, I had a panic attack. I'd been doing okay up until then. Mostly anxious, paranoid, jumpy, but that night, it all hit me. I woke up from a dead sleep, heart racing. Couldn't breathe. I was 16 again. It was like my brain just unlocked all the memories I'd tried to bury. I remembered the smell of the carpet in my old room, the sound of his footsteps outside my door, how he used to hum when he walked past. I ended up sleeping in the living room, lights on, TV playing some dumb cooking show just to distract me. Sam stayed up too. Didn't say anything. Just sat next to me until I finally nodded off. The lawyer thinks we have a strong enough case to pursue charges, especially now that Rick is willing to testify. His prior knowledge, his admission, and the additional incident involving the niece, which we're still gathering documentation for, could all help establish a pattern of behavior. We're preparing my statement now. There may be a court hearing down the line. The restraining order is in progress and should be finalized soon, assuming the judge sees what we submitted. We've got screenshots, Rick's call recording, the broken window incident, the texts, everything. I'm scared, but I'm ready. Since I blocked her on everything, she's now resorted to messaging Sam's kids through social media. Let that sink in. My niece is 13. She sent me a screenshot of a message request from a woman claiming to be her real grandma and saying, "You should tell your aunt to do the right thing before the courts get involved." Sandy absolutely lost it. We've reported it. She's locked everything down now, but the nerve of it is still boiling my blood. This woman gave me away like trash, stood by a predator, and now wants to claim maternal rights because she needs money? The entitlement is beyond comprehension. As awful as this all is, I want to acknowledge something. I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have Sam and Sandy. I'm lucky to have my job, my friends, my co-workers who've checked on me without prying. I'm lucky that, even though this pain is deep, I'm not alone anymore. I've survived the worst parts already. This question mark. This is cleanup. Hard, ugly, exhausting, but it's still after the storm. I'll update again once the restraining order is in place, and once we know if the DA will move forward with charges. Edit. I got a few messages asking why Rick is only speaking up now. I don't know. Maybe guilt? Maybe fear of being dragged down with Chris? Maybe he really is trying to make things right. I don't forgive him, but I believe he regrets it. That's something, I guess. Update 4. A lot's happened in the past 2 weeks. Some of it exhausting, some of it liberating, and one moment in particular that I honestly didn't see coming. We had the hearing for the restraining order last Monday. Sam came with me. Sandy took the day off too and waited outside in case I needed to leave early. The courtroom wasn't packed, thankfully. Just a handful of people and the judge. My lawyer was calm and professional, and we came in organized. Printed texts, witness statement from Sam, the recording from Rick, and a written statement from me. We weren't pursuing criminal charges at this hearing, just the restraining order. Chris and my mom showed up. Chris looked annoyed and smug, like this whole thing was a waste of his time. My mom looked like she'd rehearsed her whole concerned, misunderstood mother act in the mirror 100 times. They brought no lawyer, no documentation, nothing. When the judge asked why they had gone to my home, my mom said, "We just wanted to reconnect. I haven't seen my daughter in years. Is it a crime to love your child?" Chris added, "We were trying to help her." She's confused. When my lawyer showed the judge the screenshot where Chris called me a useless bitch, who should have been abandoned, and referenced her sweet body back in the day, the judge stopped the hearing cold and told them both to sit down and shut up. She granted the restraining order on the spot. 3 years. Covers me, Sam's household, and my workplace. I thought I'd feel victorious. I didn't. I felt drained, like I'd walked out of a burning building barefoot, and didn't realize I was bleeding until the adrenaline wore off. That night, I didn't want to talk. I just curled up with my old cat. Yes, the 22-year-old legend is still kicking. Played some lo-fi music and stared at the ceiling. I thought about how different my life could have been if my mom had chosen to believe me, if she'd protected me, if she'd been a mother. Instead, she protected him. She still does. Even in court, she couldn't stop herself from defending him. And it hit me all over again. She was never going to change. Not now. Not ever. I had one last thing I needed to do. That night, I created a new email address and wrote her a message. Subject, we're done. You chose him over me. Every single time. When he stole from me, you laughed. When he violated me, you blamed me. When I begged you to stop him, you turned away. I could list everything you did and everything you didn't do. But none of it matters now, because I don't need anything from you. I have a home, a family, a life. You're not in it. You don't get to be. If you ever try to contact me or anyone I love again, I will press charges. And this time, I'll go all the way. Then I blocked the email. I don't care if she reads it. It wasn't for her. It was for me. Since then, things have been lighter. Not perfect. I still get waves of sadness, even guilt. Trauma is like that. It doesn't care how strong your boundaries are. It sneaks in anyway. But I've been sleeping better. Sam and Sandy threw a little protection order party. Yes, really. Sandy made brownies and Sam got me a card that said, "You are not your past. You are your future. And also, you're kind of a badass." I cried. Again, even the cat slept on my pillow that night, which she never does. So either she's mellowing out in her old age, or she knows her human is finally okay. Edit. I've gotten a few DMs asking what happens if my mom or Chris violate the restraining order. We've already filed the order with both local police departments, my job, and the school Sam's kids attend. If either of them even tries to get near me, it's instant consequences now. Not my problem anymore. Final update. Hi Reddit. I wasn't sure how to end this. I've gone back and forth on whether there was anything else worth sharing, but after what happened last weekend, I knew I had to write this final update. This story started with a text message from a woman who hadn't spoken to me in 11 years, asking me to pay off my stepbrother's student debt. A woman who once called me a liar when I said he'd hurt me. A woman who gave me away to my brother without even saying goodbye. And now, it's ending with peace, not perfection. Not justice in the movie sense, but real, earned peace. Here's where everything stands legally. The restraining order is in place and active for 3 years. It covers me, Sam, Sandy, their kids, and our shared property. My employer has flagged both my mother and Chris in their internal alert system. My HR manager actually hugged me when I gave her the documents. We've submitted all materials to the DA's office to move forward with criminal charges for the incident when I was 16. Rick, my stepdad, submitted a sworn statement and agreed to testify. As of this week, I was told the case is being reviewed for indictment. I won't share more detail for obvious legal reasons, but this is the furthest we've ever gotten. That alone feels like a victory. A few days ago, Sam forwarded me a letter Rick mailed to him, asking him to pass it on to me. I didn't want to read it at first, but curiosity got the better of me. It was handwritten, 4 pages long, mostly apologizing. He admitted to failing me, to knowing more than he ever admitted, to watching Chris become someone dangerous and saying nothing because it was easier than disrupting the family. He ended with, "I will testify because you deserve that, but I don't expect forgiveness. Just the chance to finally say that I was wrong." I haven't responded, and I might not. But the difference is, I don't feel guilty about that. Not anymore. This weekend, I did something I haven't done since I was a teenager. I went hiking, alone. It was a trail Sam used to take me on when I first moved in with him and Sandy. It's a steep incline up a little ridge that overlooks a lake. Back then, I couldn't make it halfway without wheezing. This time, I reached the top, stood in the wind, and just breathed. I don't know how long I stood there, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 30. I just stared at the water, birds circling overhead, and realized I made it out. I made it out of that house, out of that trauma, out of a cycle that could have ruined me. Sam and Sandy have been urging me to start looking for my own place. Not because they want me to leave, but because they know I'm ready. For the first time, I actually feel excited about the idea. I've got a savings cushion, my job is stable, and I've already started bookmarking listings. I even caught myself browsing Pinterest boards for cozy kitchens and reading corner setups. Little things I didn't think I deserved before. I'm also planning to change my last name. Not back to my father's, not Sam's, My own. A name that's mine and mine alone. If you're reading this and you're still stuck in a toxic family dynamic, please know that escape is possible. It's hard. It's messy. Sometimes it takes years. But there is a version of you waiting on the other side who will feel sunlight again, who will go to sleep without bracing for footsteps outside the door, who will feel safe in their own skin. You're not broken. You're not overreacting, and you don't owe anyone your peace just because they share your blood. Thank you to every single person who commented, messaged, or simply read and believed me. This story started because I finally let myself be angry enough to speak. It's ending because I finally feel strong enough to let go. I'm not afraid anymore. That little girl who used to sleep with a chair against the door, she's not here anymore. But the woman she grew into, she's never letting anyone hurt her again. Edit, because I'm crying a little and needed to say this. I never expected so many strangers on the internet to become part of my healing. Thank you. You've made me feel seen in a way I didn't even know I needed. Be well, Reddit. Hug your safe people. And if you don't have one yet, become one for yourself.